So first of all, Abhishant, pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for inviting us. So as you know, Ripple is one of the largest users of blockchain in the world in production that is being used by multiple banks around the world, right? So if you look at blockchain and crypto assets or digital assets and the number of names people use it, it's almost akin to Netscape and internet.
Yeah.
So the internet was the underlying fundamental technology and Netscape was its first use case or first example. But what happened is a lot of people learned from Netscape, and then we had real companies building applications on the top of it, and it may be Google, it may be Netscape, right? That's exactly is happening in the case of blockchain as well. Blockchain is the underlying technology, and in some way crypto assets, digital assets are the first born of that particular technology. But clearly later on people will learn from the technology and come up with number of applications, number of use cases which will touch the lives of millions of people, and that's when like internet, blockchain will become real for them.
Now, you talked about the use cases which will emerge and so on and so forth. Now, when we look at those use cases, I remember when I was a young kid and when we looked at computers, the computer generation of say early 90s or so provided for enough of skills and other things which led to us being rightfully there when Y2K came.
Yeah.
Currently, when you look at that value chain from the point of view of ecosystem, that is to an extent a bit missing piece. Ripple as an organization is investing heavily in academic institutions and the programs to essentially build this next level of research and inclination and orientation towards skill building. Anything on that?
Yeah, so that is correct, Abhishant. I mean, in our mind, it's very clear that Ripple will not succeed by itself, but it will succeed if the overall ecosystem succeeds. So we have made a lot of investment in that ecosystem, right? So one, for example, if you look at our University Blockchain Research and Industry Association, which is UBRI, where we have made an investment into IIT Bombay and IIIT Hyderabad to create Center of Excellence on blockchain. And our idea is these will be the places where entrepreneurs will develop, where developers will develop, students will get to learn about blockchain and DLT skills, and they in turn would act as fertilizers, as seed for the overall ecosystem to flourish. So we are very keen the ecosystem does well, and automatically as the ecosystem does well, there will be number of use cases, number of applications that will come out of it, which will serve the broader communities at large.
Ecosystem is something which is interesting when you talk about that, because in like country like India, government is one of the biggest driver of ecosystem. How do you see government playing a role in terms of enabling blockchain-led ecosystem use cases which are transformational in many things that we do?
Yeah. So if you look at the government, I see three aspects of it making sense. So the first aspect is the government itself educating itself. Right? So the government essentially saying, how do I learn about new technologies, alternative technologies, and become competent to then take decisions based on that, right? Once government has reached that comfort level, I understand it, and I agree with the direction that this technology is headed, then the second thing that they can essentially do is make it a part of the curriculums, right? So it could be curriculums in the high school, in the engineering schools, in different aspects of student life, so that it can be imparted and people can learn about it, right? So that like Y2K, when as the next wave of blockchain is building up, we have professionals who are ready to take up that challenge. The third part that the government can do is, as practitioner, it can essentially say, you know what, this is a challenge, I want to throw it out to people, and assuming that they're able to build a smart application, come up with a smart idea, which may be with the use of blockchain or it may be without the use of blockchain, but come and solve it for me, and then jointly help that startup, that individual, that set of individuals to go ahead and implement that idea, which essentially creates a solution for something that has not been solved for before. And there are a number of large applications of blockchain that will come, particularly in citizen services. So it may be land records, it may be health records, it may be vaccination, records of vaccination for people, and those will be the uses where both the government and the citizens at large can benefit.
One of the use cases from a government as well as from a citizen point of view is international foreign remittance. Now India is the biggest recipient of that. I've personally seen the challenges which happen in terms of funds not being seen, cited or received, or the quantum of fee that we as individuals end up paying for those things. there's a huge time lag and a cost associated with that. Ripple as an organization is solving for it, and it impacts both citizens and governments alike. So any view on that?
Yeah. So our view is very simple, right? So we want to make movement of money as simple as sending each other an email. So if you remember the before internet, sending information to each other used to be tedious. We used to have fax machine, post office, snail mails and things like those. Now with internet and everything has changed. And not only it has changed, it doesn't require you any special equipment to have it. So we are almost like WhatsApp of payment systems. So that's what exactly we have created. And in our mind, by doing so, there are a number of things that start to happen. So for example, if you lower the cost of international remittance to a minuscule level, through which you are able to encourage peer-to-peer sending money between each other. So for example, if you today needed to send 100 rupees to buy something from overseas, you're not able to because the transaction cost is very high. So we unleash a very different form of export and import, which is essentially not happening today, by lowering the transaction cost. The second thing, if you look at enterprise, a lot of money is stuck in working capital. So for example, if you are a supplier which is supplying goods on a 30-day contract terms and you're getting paid in 33 days, but now after Ripple is put into the bank that you are essentially using, you get paid exactly on the 30th day. That means you have that 3 days of extra working capital, which is 10% of your working capital. And if you look at on a yearly basis, that is 36 days of working capital that is available to you for extra use. So that's a cost that is not incurred by you as a business, or that is an opportunity that is available to you to get an extra customer. So to my mind, this increases the velocity of money in the system, which directly impacts the GDP. In some way, it is exactly what is being done in the domestic system. As the domestic system is becoming more electronified or digitized, and that flow of money, the faster flow of money is increasing the GDP, the same opportunity we have in the global remittance space as well, where faster remittances, error-free remittances, cheaper remittances are going to have the same effect on the working capital cycle. And Ripple is here to do that, right? I mean, working along with the banks, we are working with individuals and companies to bring these solutions to them.
And most probably as the system will evolve, I was just, when I was talking to you and you said fax, I was thinking, when was the last time I saw a fax machine? Or when was the last time I actually used it? So maybe as the technology evolves, some of the players who are in the fax machine era will be simply out of sight and mind for people, and maybe Ripple will create right ripples in the market.
And that's bound to happen, right? So it's the theory itself, right? Survival of the fittest. So new technologies, new ideas, new innovations will overtake whatever has been happening earlier, and the older inefficiencies need to fade away in the background. Thank you very much.